Did you know that the Dead Sea is receding at an alarming rate, and this drop in its water level exposes a geological phenomenon nobody expected to see? Is there any hope for the Sea of Death, or have we lost another natural wonder to bad government policies and climate change? The Dead Sea has been a refuge for messiahs, martyrs, and zealots for over millennia, since the site is sacred in various religions, including Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Muslims believe that Moses is married in a mosque atop a hill near Jerusalem, while Christians believe that Jesus Christ was baptized in the River Jordan when he traveled down to the Dead Sea from Galilee. But this isn't the only reason the Dead Sea is an important landmark. It is the lowest water body on Earth with the lowest elevation on land, and its therapeutic water is 10 times saltier than regular ocean water. Do you know what that means for people who don't know how to swim? It means they can never drown in the Dead Sea but stay afloat even if they don't swim. Another reason the Dead Sea is a popular tourist spot is its mineral-rich clay, known to heal many ailments such as psoriasis, eczema, and other skin conditions. Visitors tend to cover their bodies with the healing mud mask from the Dead Sea before sunbathing to absorb hyaluronic acid and other beneficial minerals in the clay. But today, the Dead Sea is on the brink of death, with its banks collapsing into sinkholes. The water level is plummeting around 4 feet each year, and the central part of the lake is only 950 feet deep, which is 15% lower and a third of the surface area compared to its size half a century ago. Get ready to find out how the Dead Sea is changing in unexpected ways. As the sea shrinks, its landscape changes in exquisite yet dangerous ways. You can see unique salt formations in places where the water dries up, but there are also apocalyptic scenes of deserted beaches and parking lots disappearing into sinkholes near the coast. Whether you see up or down the Dead Sea, the shoreline is pockmarked by hundreds of sinkholes. You'd be surprised to know that over 1,000 sinkholes have appeared in the past 15 years, a testimony to an environmental catastrophe. What exactly are sinkholes and how are they formed? Because the Dead Sea is receding, the freshwater aquifers along the border of the lake are also retreating with it. When this fresh water spreads into salt deposits underneath the surface, the water gradually dissolves the deposits. As a result, the ground becomes vulnerable and can collapse at any time. So far, these sinkholes have devoured one part of a road, date palm fields, and various buildings along the northwest coast. What's alarming is that the environmental experts fear the hotels near the shore are also in danger of sinking suddenly. Can you imagine the damage an event like that could cause? Before we discuss the factors affecting the volume of the Dead Sea, let's find out how the unique water body was formed. Several million years ago, the shift of tectonic plates that created the Saharan-African Rift Valley also gave birth to the Dead Sea. Initially, the lake was a part of a larger water body that stretched into the Sea of Galilee, but its outlet to the sea evaporated about 18,000 years ago, leaving behind a salty desert basin at the lowest point of Earth. The Dead Sea is 1,300 feet below sea level, but has always maintained its water level through a precarious natural cycle. The sea receives fresh water from rivers and streams flowing from the nearby mountains and loses it by evaporation. The combination of rich salt deposits and the evaporation process makes up for the Dead Sea's exceptional salinity of up to 33%. To put this in perspective, Utah's Great Salt Lake has only 27% salinity. Before the 1960s, the rate of evaporation in the Dead Sea was proportional to the flow of fresh water. However, things took a nasty turn when Israel built a massive pumping station on the banks of the Sea of Galilee. What this station did was divert water from the Upper Jordan to a water distribution system that supplied water throughout the country. Unfortunately, that was the Dead Sea's primary water source. The situation worsened when Jordan and Syria started diverting the lower Jordan's river's main tributary in the 1970s, and things continued to go downhill from there. Would you believe the lake was about 50 miles long during the 1950s, but 70 years later, it's only 30 miles long now? The sea needs at least 160 billion gallons of water annually to sustain its current size and volume, but it only receives 10% of that amount now. A recent study has shown that the Dead Sea's evaporation rate will eventually slow down and the lake will achieve equilibrium once again in a few decades, but at the cost of losing one-third of its current volume. The plight of the Dead Sea cannot be written off as the effect of climate change. In fact, it is a manufactured problem. The Dead Sea is a landlocked lake surrounded by Israel, Jordan, and Syria. Since the region has limited water, each country has been diverting freshwater resources that feed the Dead Sea for its own benefit. In addition, Israeli and Jordanian companies export the rich minerals derived from evaporating Dead Sea's water. Wait until you hear about the lake overlooking Israeli hotel resorts. As we said earlier, the Dead Sea is a popular tourist spot, therefore having access to part of the lake close to their hotel resort is definitely a highlight for visitors. However, the part of the lake with Israeli hotel resorts is actually an artificial evaporation pool in the lake's southern basin. So the next time you float in the water and lather the lake's mud on your skin, remember that the lake right outside your resort is manufactured. Another reason the Dead Sea is in a critical state is the water policy of the country surrounding it, especially for agricultural use. Ever since Israel established itself as a Jewish state, its government bestowed generous water subsidies to farmers to turn harvestable land into fertile vineyards and crop fields. But you wouldn't believe how disastrous the effects of that water policy turned out to be. Today's agriculture accounts for only 3% of Israel's gross national product, but the industry uses up to 50% of its freshwater resources. Similarly, Jordan takes around 71 billion gallons of water each year from the Yarmouk River for the King Abdullah Canal, which Syria draws another 55 billion gallons per annum. As a result, the lower Jordan's primary water source has reached near total depletion. And now the real question is, how can the water crisis of the Dead Sea be averted? According to environmental activists, one solution is to remove all the water subsidies entirely to regulate agriculture in the surrounding regions. Unless the water is priced at its actual cost, it would be impossible to curtail excessive agriculture. However, this is easier said than done since the region's agricultural lobby is quite strong compared to the environmental movement. Shimon Tal, the water commissioner of Israel, recently accepted that reducing some subsidies was the need of the hour, but achieving that wasn't going to be easy. A former Israeli Water Commission official who has now joined Friends of the Earth said, "We desperately need to change the situation, but the agricultural lobby won't even talk about it." Another way to deal with the crisis is to utilize other water sources to ease the pressure on the primary source of the Dead Sea. Talks of a project to conserve household water use are underway, and the government is trying to control the amount of water that can be drawn from Israel's springs. The establishment plans to develop wastewater treatment plants and desalination facilities over the next 5 years, and once that project is complete, it should be able to deliver around 106 billion gallons of fresh water annually. Friends of the Earth is also educating local farmers and encouraging them to plant crops that require less water to grow. For example, there are areas where farmers can plant olives, flowers, and dates, crops that can flourish in treated sewage water, but instead they're drawing water from the Jordan River to grow such crops as bananas. The World Bank has partnered with Israel and Mideast ecological peace organizations to restore the lake. One of their suggested solutions is constructing a canal to refill the Dead Sea with desalinated water from the Red Sea. The second idea is to boost the Jordan River and increase the water flowing into the Dead Sea. The final proposed solution is to ask mining companies to fund the lake's restoration. However, no practical steps have been taken to implement any of the proposed ideas. Just say the Dead Sea has dried up completely might be a stretch, but it is definitely drying up, and the sinkholes appearing along the shorelines can have disastrous effects on the region. And that's it for today, folks. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and press the notification bell to get video updates. Until next time, stay curious.